Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. Before we get started, let's have a moment of silence for the victims. We now know who killed these innocent black brothers and sisters. The killer's name is Dylann Roof. You are looking at the face of evil. You are looking at a monster, at a devil. This man went into a church and killed 9 innocent people. As a reverend said on Democracy Now!, this monster prayed with the congregation for about an hour. He sat in the congregation for an hour, praying with them. And after praying with them, he prayed on them like the beast that he is. This man was filled with nothing but hatred. This is a hate crime. This is an act of domestic terrorism. Now, this man, this monster, talked to his friends and I guess it was his friends, before this incident happened. He talked to them about how black people are taking over the world. He talked to them about how something needs to be done about that. This man wore the symbols of hatred. He wore an apartheid flag on his jacket. He wore the symbol of the white colonial state of Rhodesia on his jacket. He drove around in a car bearing the symbol, the flag of the Confederacy, a symbol of hatred here in America. When you see these KKK rallies, when you see these skinhead rallies, when you see any kind of hate rally or hate leaders, you will see that Confederate flag because it is a symbol of hatred. It is a symbol of slavery. It is a symbol of Jim Crow. When our people were protesting for their basic human rights in this country, basic right to not be segregated, they used that flag as a rallying symbol against civil rights. That flag needs to go. This flag is not just some symbol that these hate groups walk around with. It's a symbol that flies on the state grounds of South Carolina. If they are serious about dealing with hatred and bigotry, they would take down that flag. Take it down. If you are serious about fighting against hate and racism. Well, this monster, this demon, this devil, said that he wanted to hurt a lot of people. He told his friends that the races should be segregated. And when this monster started to kill people, he said that he wants to kill a lot of black people. Those were the words from his mouth. He wants to kill a lot of black people. He talked about black people taking over. And he talked about black men raping white women. Those were the motivations of this monster. He has acknowledged that he is the one responsible for killing those 9 innocent people. He said that he wanted to start a race war. A race war. People will look at this as an isolated incident. They will dismiss it on several grounds. But before I go into that, I just want to talk about the fact that this hatred is not born in isolation. He's not just an individual who developed his own ideas. An environment of hatred nurtured his ideas and created this monster. He's only 21 years old. And he committed this horrible act and had all this hate in his heart. As someone said on a program that I watched on Democracy Now!, we often hear these politicians use cold language. And we hear it on these major shows on Fox and other programs, where they talked about taking their country back. A party called the Tea Party. This is a mainstream organization that constantly talks about taking their country back. Taking their country back from who? Taking their country back from black people, from a black president, from minorities. That's what they're talking about. That's what they are implying. Every day when you listen to Fox News, they have subtle messages of hatred. So people like this absorb those messages of hatred. And they go to other channels to even intensify that hatred. This monster is a reflection of the society in which we live. These types of crimes against black people are nothing new. They've been bombing and burning our churches for a long time now. They have been killing the innocent people for a long time now. This is a part of that long tradition of hatred in America. And we have to look at it that way. We can't look at this as some isolated incident. And the thing that makes this crime even more disgusting is the fact that he talked to so many people about what he wanted to do, but no one intervened to prevent it from happening. No one contacted the police. No one took action. That is a disgrace and a shame. The society that created this monster and the so-called friends who did nothing as he plotted and planned, they are all just as guilty as he is. Now, I just want to talk about double standards for a minute. If this crime had been committed by anybody else, this monster would have been immediately labeled as a terrorist. If it had been committed by Arabs, or if it had been committed by a black man against white people, they would have called the perpetrator a terrorist immediately. They would have not only done that, they would have stereotyped all African Americans or all Arabs or any other group that was involved. They would have been stereotyped immediately. Stereotyped, punished collectively. But here, that does not happen because this killer is a white man. So what they do is they want to dismiss it as an individual act of violence. They want to say that this person has mental issues. They want to say that this person was on drugs. That's why he did what he did. They don't want to call it what it is. Terrorism, racism, hatred. See, white men are not judged as a group. They're judged as individuals. Even though when most of these mass killings happen, they are committed overwhelmingly by white men. We have example after example after example. It makes you wonder, what is wrong with this white man? Why does he constantly commit these kinds of acts of barbarism? Why is the profile similar? A young white man goes crazy. A young white man massacring a large group of people. But no one is profiling a white man. No one is stopping all white people. Now, in the face of this hatred, in the face of this violence, we have people who are still asleep, people who are still in denial. I was watching a news clip from Fox News, and I heard this Uncle Tom, this house Negro, basically tried to suggest that this is not a hate crime. Basically tried to suggest that this is just an act of violence against people for being Christian. Now, I've already explained how this is a hate crime. But people like this, in the face of all the evidence, they want to deny it. They want to ignore it. Because they can't cope with reality. And then you have others who want to divert attention from the main issue. You have these people who acknowledge that this is a brutal act, but what they do is they want to shift the discussion into a discussion about so-called black-on-black violence. They want to shift that discussion into a discussion about black-on-black violence, and black-on-black violence is completely irrelevant to the point. It has absolutely nothing to do with an act of terrorism against black people. If you come on my page trying to shift the discussion into a discussion about black-on-black violence, you will be blocked, banned, and deleted immediately. Because I don't have the patience for that nonsense. Here you have these innocent people killed, and you want to change the topic. Well, if you're not interested in the topic, don't watch videos like this where I'm going to speak on the topic. When black people are killed, when they are victims of violence, whether it's violence from the police or just violence from this white racist society, the first thing that people do is they engage in so-called respectability politics. Well, they can't do that here because you have righteous, pious people in a church praying, not bothering anyone. These people can't be painted as thugs. These are people of God. These are God's people. And all the respectability in the world did not prevent this brutal terrorist act from happening. So again, we are reminded it doesn't matter how respectable you are in this racist white man's world. You will still be attacked, targeted, and victimized.